thanks for joining me. I want to start off this review by actually sharing something about this car, and that is that it is so quiet. It is, I think, the quietest car I've ever tested. More on this soon. And anyway, look, priced from $89,000 up to $101,000 before on-road costs. This is a premium SUV and it competes with like a Tesla Model Y, and I'll tell you why that's wrong soon. So join me as I detail this, its range, efficiency, charging, all that sort of stuff in this review. You can buy the BMW iX3 in one of two different flavors. This one is the M Sport, seen here in fetching photonic blue. You can also get the M Sport Pro, which has bigger wheels, more cameras, upgraded audio with Harman Kardon speakers, more bling over and above what you see here, and Parking Assistant Plus, which I've covered in my iX1 review and a separate video because it is so good, honest to goodness. Check out the end card, you want to see that one. So today we're only going to be covering the M Sport, which is kind of fully loaded and is missing some features that I'd probably like to see, but nonetheless, all the different color options here are $0, which for BMW is great value. With a claimed range of up to 440 kilometers from its 80 kilowatt-hour battery pack, is a single motor that propels this 2.2 ton vehicle and gets it going with only one motor. 210 kilowatts from that little sucker and 400 newton meters of torque. It's got a 5-year unlimited warranty, and its high voltage battery is actually 8 years or 160,000 kilometers, whichever comes first. So in terms of comparisons, sure, this is well and truly above what a Tesla Model Y is, especially when you put on those dealer delivery and on-road cost sort of stuff. But you need to think of this more in the space of Audi and, I don't know, Mercedes. Yeah. The BMW iX3 is actually very stately, but when you wanted to, it can actually get some good get up and go. So I'm in a 80 zone right now, and if I punch it, everything goes flying, including the camera. So it's surprising that from a single motor with what sounds to be pretty average, good, actually good specs, performs so well. Being rear-wheel drive, you can actually feel that push from the back of the car. And surprisingly, I found it doesn't have any understeer or oversteer. And look, maybe that's because of the smarts of the computer systems, like, you know, dynamic stability control, dynamic control, all those sort of controls. Could be those 19-inch tires, or I don't know, the lower center of gravity because the battery pack's under the floor here. It actually just is well behaved in almost all situations, but again, it's only a single motor, so you're not going to be taking this thing off-road, are you? No. Are you going to be throwing it around the racetrack? No. And so for what it is, it actually is very comfortable, stately, that's today's word, I reckon, family car. And it soaks up bumps beautifully, and you don't get very much knocks and shudders through the steering wheel like you might say in a Tesla Model Y. Yeah, definitely a fair statement. Turning circle is pretty average, 12.1 meters, nothing special there. But what I do find is that at low speeds, this steering wheel actually seems to have, well, it gives you more assistance. I was going to say variable, but it doesn't do variable stuff. No, it's connected, definitely connected to the wheels. But it actually makes steering lighter and easier when you go at lower speeds versus when you get up to speed. It actually gets a bit more weight into it. And you can either choose normal steering or sport steering, and both are fine. I think it feels light enough that it's not too light, rather, but also it's not too heavy that it's just like unnecessarily just for the sake of being sport-like. No, you don't want to do that. An interesting feature here is it's got not one but 4 levels of regen. And if you're a Tesla owner, you're thinking straight away, that's 3 too many, Chris, 3 too many. But other than low, medium, high, there's actually one that I discovered works reasonably well. And I'll tell you what the caveat here is in a second. And that is auto. And what it does is actually uses a sensor in the car, like the radar that is, also the map data to understand what's coming up ahead. So if I was to take my foot off in this situation, and let's say I'm going to go around this bend to the right, all right, it's going to slow it down. Look at that. Like almost bring it to a stop. It's not going to do it completely to a stop. And away I go again. Acceleration's nice and smooth because again, static car. And now that I'm on a straight, I'm going to take my foot off. I don't know if you can tell or not, but it's actually braking the car slower because it knows there's actually just a gentle curve here. So it's using map data and the radar to understand how much regen it should do. It's actually very clever. And I believe Mercedes and Kia, they do it in some of their cars and here as well. But the caveat is that I now can't have one pedal driving, which, yeah, you know me, I love one pedal driving. So by putting the driver selector back to one time again, it goes back to B mode. And as before, criticized BMW for this, it doesn't stick with that mode. So although it's got my profile saved, it's not going to remember that I've chosen one pedal driving. And well, now my accelerators would brake, so I'm coming up to an intersection, and the car will come to a complete stop without me even touching the brake. So it's going to use as much regen as possible to get energy back into the battery. That M Sport badge denotes that this car has got some added little features here and there that supposedly improve its aerodynamic performance. Yeah, I guess so. At least that's what the brochure tells me. A thing I like about this car is that in addition to being able to open the boot through a button inside, under here through the app, you can also do it with a kick. Providing a 510 litre boot, which if you put the seats down, increases to 1,560 litres. The thing I like here is that it's actually got a zero flat entry, so you can slide things in and out quite easily. And also there's no humps for the wheels on the side, so it's nice and wide. Actually, yeah, it's very generous sort of boot. Underfloor, there's also some other bits and bobs, which in this case is all the included charging equipment you get with this car. And it's pretty good. Except for one thing. Come here. There is no frunk here. Instead, under this plastic cover, you've got a lot of wasted space. And I think that comes back to the fact it's based upon a petrol version. I could forgive this if it was like a dual motor version, but it's only a single motor. So 50, 70 litres, you could easily fit into this space, and a bit of a disappointment. But one thing I do love is that this has got walk up unlock as well as walk away lock, which I really do appreciate. And through the app, you can also have a digital card which integrates beautifully with Android as well as Apple OS. So you can actually use your phone to unlock this like with a tap. Also, it's got an RFC card, but I didn't get the RFC card, so I wasn't able to test that. So that's awesome. Something that surprised me about this car is that it's actually, well, to me it seems bigger than my Tesla Model Y, but it actually is nearly identical. I kid you not. Like, honestly, does this seem taller to you? It seems taller, it seems bigger in every dimension. Maybe it's because, well, it's not my car. I've only had it on loan for a week, and I'm just more cautious when parking it. I'm not very sure, but nonetheless, yeah, it's strangely big, yet isn't. One of the cool features of this car, kind of, is its intelligent parking assistant. It's only got a rear reverse camera. It doesn't have 360 like the other one does. And it does have 360-degree sensors, and they come on automatically. But now that I've come here to this parking spot, say, if I actually enable the reverse system, what it's going to do is going to actually, up to 50 meters, recreate the exact moves that I just did. It's actually very clever, so I'll do it now. I think there was a car behind me before. He's moving. Alrighty, so now we'll just take the foot off. Oops, helps if I put it in reverse. The wheel starts this turny thing. I'll just make sure we're clear. And we'll go backwards. There's a pole there. And let's see. It could do this for 50 meters, and it's telling me it's got 40 meters left. Yeah, I could keep going for another 33 meters. There you go. It's kind of cool. It's very cool. I think the situation is real edge case, but the situation is you get yourself into a laneway, say, and the only way is back out the way you came. I think that's the only time you're going to use it, to be honest. The other feature the iX3 has is a parking assistant, you know, where it does everything from the steering to also the accelerator and brake. So it's telling me, hey, I'm finding spots for you. That was over that side, that was a bad spot, so I'm not doing that. So I can choose left or right, and yes, and all I do is just observe my surroundings. Well, it's gonna have to do a 3-point turn for this, so this is gonna be fascinating. I think I went too far, so let's see what it does. All right, so the wheel's adjusting. This car, who's probably now gonna have to wait for me, so I'm gonna do the gentle, polite wave. Sorry, mate. And it's gonna go backwards. And here it goes eventually. Alrighty, and it's nicely centering. Cool. Now, this doesn't feel as fast or as clever as the iX1. Maybe it's actually got a more advanced system, but nonetheless, there we go. Did it, yay. So yeah, that's some of the AI stuff in this car. In the back of the BMW iX3, there's a heap of space, pretty much, except for a few, well, really one issue. Knee room, excellent. Headroom, brilliant, loads of it. Shoulder room, very good. You can comfortably seat 3 people across the back here. However, there's a transmission tunnel, which is, again, coming from the X3, the petrol or diesel version. So if you're in the center, you're gonna have to put your feet on either side of it, and it doesn't make it very comfortable. Nonetheless, there are some good comforts here for passengers, and that is that you've got individually controllable air conditioning. So you can put the temperature up, down, select if it's gonna go to your face or to your feet, and it's great being able to control that from back here. You've also got 2 out of the 4 USB sockets in this car. Some very decent sized drink holders, including these ones. Check this out. Isn't that really cool? I love it. I love it. I really do. Yeah, small mind, I know. Be kind in your comments below. The other thing I like here is this. So you've got a 40-20-40 split. And so I'm just going to move back for a second with a little lever up here. Oh! I did not rehearse that. Yeah, this can go down flat onto the seat, obviously, and you can put maybe some skis through here or something very long, a bit of wood when you go to Bunnings, whatever. So I really do like that. And now the really cool thing I like here too is that the seat is individually, like all of them. You can move them, so you can have a very much upright position. Tilt this, it's like, oh yeah, it's like a normal position, I reckon. And this one, oh, it's like a recline one. So yeah, it's pretty cruisy. And I especially love that panoramic roof. And it's got, it's like integrated with not only a sunroof, so you can open and close out on beautiful days, but also you got a shade. And that came in handy yesterday when we were traveling with the family. And it was very sunny, so we closed that up, and that was great. When it comes to performance and acceleration, I don't know how they've done it, but they've engineered it really well. They found the right size motor for the right size of the vehicle weight, and that's very commendable, where they've had to actually convert what was a petrol car into an electric one, and not build it from the ground up like what Tesla does. And the benefits just flow through and through in this car. One of the things I really love about this car is this whole fit and finish and its quality use of material. So this is leather. Apologies to my vegan friends out there. These seats are motorized, so the passenger is 8-way adjustable, including a little under-thigh rest that both passengers get here, well, both, front passenger and the driver get rather. But the really exciting feature here is you've got bolster support on the side. So these sport seats become even sportier, so you can actually cinch it in, and it just reminds you maybe you should eat some less sometimes, Chris. Anyway, there's that, but very comfortable commanding driving position. You've got a glove compartment that's a okay size, and controlling this car is done mostly through this 12.3-inch touchscreen, which is pretty responsive, but it's running on OS 7. And if you've seen my iX1 review, that's actually OS 8, and it's definitely way better than this, but both of them, they're not up to par yet with Tesla, but they're close. They're close. Now, for my fans out there, I know you love your Teslas, and you're going to be looking at all these buttons and thinking, oh my gosh, no, just no. And I've got to agree with you. I do agree with you. The HVAC controls here, they're fine, a little bit overly fussy and maybe not necessary. Maybe like, you've got a menu AC button here, which only controls some of the functions, but you could, honest to goodness, move most of them up to the screen. Beneath that, you're thinking numbers 1 through 8, Chris, is that for like radio? Remember radio? Does anybody still listen to that? I think they do. It's got DAB radio, by the way, Bluetooth, wireless Android and wireless Apple CarPlay. But you can actually use these as shortcuts. So you can set number 1 to say open Spotify, number 8 to do some other function. But it's usable. It just seems a little bit unnecessary. Like really, you just need the volume controls here, temperatures up and down, seat heater controls, and that's, I would recommend that's all you need. And that's what the iX1 has. So I think this is where BMW is going to go in the future. Just, it seems a bit old-fashioned if you ask me. What isn't old-fashioned though is the voice assistant. It's actually pretty good. And sure, you've got your voice assistant through your phone, but it's got a built-in one here that works in the car, but also can set it up to the cloud to improve its performance. So its wake word should be like, hey BMW. I want to say that quietly because, well, actually, hey BMW. No, it's not going to respond because I reprogrammed the wake word to be, hey, silly Billy, open all the windows.
I will open all windows.
There it goes. It's pretty fast and zippy. It doesn't control everything that I'd like it to. Like, I'm pretty certain the sunroof doesn't function through this. Silly Billy, open the sunroof.
This function, unfortunately, cannot be controlled by voice.
I don't get that. Is that a safety thing? Probably is. I don't know. Anyway, it works surprisingly well. You can do navigation and other commands with it. And, you know, you've got that connectivity, so you can actually navigate with the built-in maps here. But honestly, if you've got Android Auto or Apple CarPlay, would you? No, because the directions show up here on your display. And that display, just like the other one, is nice and crisp, displays most everything you need. And yeah, I find this whole front section to be a real highlight of this car. In terms of safety systems and visibility, the iX3 is actually, well, it's got great visibility. Huge screen out here, glass, big side mirrors, rear view mirror, which is auto dimming, by the way, as well as a massive portal at the back there, like a massive window as well. You've got the usual suite of safety systems, and it is 5-star ANCAP rated. And if you've got kids back there, there's ISO fixed points. So yeah, that's great. As I noted in the introduction, noise levels in this car, like sound suppression is a better way of putting it, are so amazingly good. Like, whoever I've given rides to, as soon as they get in, that's the first thing they say. We're driving along, doing 50 k's per hour, and it's like, so quiet. So quiet. And it doesn't matter how I cut this data, like I use a decibel reading to get this data, and no matter which way I cut it, it's like, it turns out to be one of, not always, but almost all across all speeds, one of the best performing and quietest electric vehicles out there. And you know, I might be using that word today in this video because that's what I do sometimes. Stately is today's word. It just makes a very posh, royal experience, and you feel like you're a king or a queen. Go with me. The BMW iX3 has app connectivity. Think like your Tesla mobile access, but you know what? Most car makers have it. And Kia and Hyundai, for instance, I've criticized them as having really bad apps, and this one's actually pretty good. So you can do things like turn on your climate, locate your car, send directions to it, organize service, and a lot more. It's actually pretty good, very responsive, and well laid out. It's a big tick from me. The car also does over-the-air updates, and during my time with it, it actually had one of them. I'm not sure what it did, but it got one of them. Cruise control on the iX3 is pretty good. You press this button to set it, and straight away it sets at whatever speed you were going at that moment in time. But if, let's say, it's 60 here, so I just press set, and it's going to bring the car back down to the correct speed. And up ahead, we've got an 80 zone, so as soon as we go past that, it'll be recognized by the cameras, and press it again, and it takes the car up to 80 k's per hour. It actually is a really excellent implementation, which pales, well, let's put it this way, like in a Tesla, unless you tap the screen to match the speed limit, you've got to scroll to speed up or speed down to match the limit of the area, right? Whereas with this car, you just press the set and that's it, it's done. You could use this little toggle here to do up 1k per hour increments, or you press it hard to do 10k per hour increments, but you need not, because yeah, it actually does a really decent job. And the brakes, they're actually pretty good. It has a nice linear feel to it, and if I was to do an emergency stop, because I've got a stop sign here, I'm doing 60, whoa, everything's going to go flying. Yeah, they're very effective at bringing this car to a complete standstill. Charging the BMW iX3 can take up to 7.5 hours using a 3-phase 11 kilowatt charger like this one. That's from absolute empty to full. If you don't have one of these, I bet you can access one of these things. Yes, a humble Australian wall plug that will provide about 10 to 15 kilometers of range per hour if you use the included charger. Now, for those new to EVs, you might be doing some math and saying, hold up. Earlier you said it had 440 kilometers of range, so 10 kilometers of additional range per hour. That means 44 hours to recharge it. Yeah, nah. See, when you get an electric vehicle, let's say you get home from your daily drive, this is the average by the way, you plug it in and 4 to 5 hours later, you've got a full tank again. So before you even jump into bed, the battery is full. And what's even more astonishing, going electric means that you now have a fuel pump in your home. Charging the BMW iX3 is a pretty average affair, if I'm honest with you. 10 to 80%, it's going to take a bit over half an hour, and that's because it's limited to 150 kilowatts. And in 2024, I would actually hope for a lot better. For instance, the Tesla Model Y, I think can go up to about 250 kilowatts. Mind you, you never actually get that. And when I plugged in, I'm just looking at the screen there, I was only getting about 100 kilowatts, even though the battery was about 40% full. So normally you can get a faster charger at the start and it goes down. So yeah, I would imagine that when you're paying for such a premium price for a premium car, I'd definitely like to see better fast charging in the BMW iX3. But I tell you what you can't go past though, is that this car, the iX3, and this model gets 1 year of free charging from ChargeFox. So I could go all around Australia and it wouldn't cost me a cent if I use any of the ChargeFox network. If I had the BMW iX3 M Sport, that's the $10,000 more expensive one by the way, you get 5 years of free charging, again from ChargeFox. Try putting those two words together, by the way, it's really hard. So that's great value. So sure, you're obviously paying a high price for this car, but you also get that free charging. And if your business is actually, let's say, ferrying passengers around, you know, limousine sort of stuff maybe, or you're Ubering, it's a very fancy Uber, you could absolutely do really well. And I think if you're talking about $10,000 between this one and the M Sport Pro, reach for the other one, because 5 years of free charging is not to be sniffed at. So this car has got a claim range of 440 kilometers. I'll put the right number down below. My result has actually been 18 kilowatt hours per 100k. So that means 440 kilometers of range. And in such a large vehicle that looks like this, that's an amazing result. All in all, I found the BMW iX3 to be a great car. What with its fit and finish, premium build, great ride and handling, and its range and efficiency that was surprising. Like, honest to goodness, look at it. It's just big, isn't it? But other things I didn't appreciate so much were the overuse of buttons, and also the fact that its DC fast charging is pretty mediocre. 150 kilowatts in 2024 for a premium car isn't any good. I would expect to see, I would hope, at least 250 kilowatts and maybe even 800 volt architecture so it could charge even faster again. Otherwise, that's actually a very small list of issues I have with this car. And look, if I was in this market and I could afford something like this, would I opt for the extra $10,000 before taxes for the more expensive one? Yeah, I guess if I could afford that, I don't know. Anyway, hope you've enjoyed this video on that big bombshell. Yeah, it just came out of nowhere. But anyway, I hope you did enjoy it. And if you did, give me a subscribe. Write a comment below, ask me a question. I try to respond to them. Share this on your socials. That really helps out as well. And if you want to thank me in other ways, I do YouTube super thanks as well as Ko-fi, so for behind the scenes and early access to videos. And as per usual, you be good and you be green.